Anyone can learn to code, but coding is hard. Thanks to the power of AI, you can just get a chatbot to write the code for you, but is that a good idea? Welcome to the world of vibe coding, where anyone can make software, and it doesn't matter if you don't actually understand the code itself. Is that awesome, or is it actually a huge problem? The term vibe coding is essentially slang for creating computer software code by simply telling an AI what you want the code to do, and the software spitting it out for you. Then you compile the code, run the app, and if everything looks good, you call it a day and share your software. It's not about exact technical knowledge, but about the vibe you are going for, I guess. In other words, people who do vibe coding are effectively still in the position of a client explaining to a software developer what they want. It's just that they've replaced the human software developer with an AI. Vibe coding is a method of creating software or applications using AI tools, such as chatbots, to generate code based on written descriptions. If you want to create a side-scrolling platform game, for example, instead of writing the code yourself, you just explain to an AI chatbot what you want the game to do, and the chatbot will generate all the code for you. You can then refine your creation with further prompts, asking the chatbot to make changes to how the game behaves or to fix any bugs that occur. By getting the chatbot to refine the code for you, you can create working software without writing a single line of code. The messaging of learn to code has been loudly spread around for years now. The truth is that while lots of people would like to create software, they have neither the time to learn, nor the resources to hire someone who can code. So that's a sizable number of people who have ideas for apps or other software, but with no way to make them a reality. So from one perspective, vibe coding is pretty awesome. It means that, just like AI image generation, the barrier to entry has been dropped through the floor for something that would usually take years of practice and study to do. You could make the argument that this is a democratization of software creation. It also falls roughly in the line with the development of programming over the decades. In the beginning, programmers had to work in raw machine code, and then in assembly language, which is easier for humans to understand, but still pretty close to machine code in function. Later, high-level coding languages struck a middle ground between something that could be translated easily to machine code and a human language like English. Languages like C or Python might seem cryptic at first glance, but they have syntax much closer to the human side of the spectrum and represent a huge leap in how easy it is to make software. So, you could see vibe coding as the natural evolution of translating from human to machine language, which is a lovely idea in theory, but presents some problems. I tried using vibe coding to create my own productivity app. Since AI chatbots such as ChatGPT burst onto the scene, there has been a small amount of panic about AI taking all of our jobs. While there are still plenty of things that AI chatbots can't yet do, one area where they have proved to be impressive is coding. It's now possible for anyone to generate their own code using AI chatbots simply by explaining what they want to do in a prompt, a technique that has come to be known as vibe coding. I decided to give vibe coding a try to see if I could create a simple app without entering a single line of code myself. Picking an idea to create. I have a little coding experience, but I wanted to see if I could use vibe coding to create something without having to make any changes to the code myself. I didn't want to go for anything too complicated. I just wanted to see if vibe coding would work to make a useful and functional app purely by describing what I wanted. I've always struggled with productivity, finding that I get easily distracted, and I've tried numerous apps to try to solve this. The Pomodoro method of 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break has helped, but I've still found that I get distracted during the focused sessions. I've also found time blocking to be useful. I decided to try to create an app that combined both. It would create 30-minute blocks of time that I could fill in with the tasks I wanted to complete. Each block would have its own Pomodoro timer that I could run from the block, and at the end of each 25-minute session of work, it would prompt me to enter any distractions that occurred. This would help me track the things that are stealing my focus so I could figure out ways to stop those distractions. Choosing a ChatGPT model. Now I had my plan, I was almost ready to start. I have a ChatGPT Plus subscription, so that was the chatbot I planned to use. The next decision was to select which model to use in ChatGPT. All the models can handle coding to some extent. Some models support the Canvas feature, which opens a separate window for your code, but since I'm vibe coding and don't want to touch the code at all, this wasn't important. In the end, I opted for the O3 Mini High model, which is based on the O3 Mini model that has a good reputation for coding. The O3 Mini High model is supposedly more intelligent, although it takes a little longer. The first attempts at creating my app got the basics down. I started by describing what I wanted the app to do. I tried to include as many of the features that I wanted as possible. This was the hardest part of the entire process. I needed a clear idea of exactly what I wanted the app to do and needed to describe it as accurately as I possibly could. This would ensure that the result was as close as possible to what I wanted. Vibe-coded apps can be dangerous. Here's the thing, if you have no way of evaluating the quality of your code, it could have all sorts of problems that you are simply oblivious to. Even if you test the code extensively and use AI to iteratively fix bugs and issues you find, you still have no idea whether the code is actually good or not. Does it follow good practices for cybersecurity? Does it have some obvious flaw in it that a human coder would spot in an instant? Perhaps more importantly, is there a not-so-obvious issue that only an experienced human coder would clock? It's one thing to vibe code a fun little game for your kids or for your personal DIY projects, but if you are trying to make software that you want to publish, or even sell, the pitfalls are many. LLMs are always risky unless you're a subject expert. Because of the way large language models work, there's always a chance that it will make a mistake or even make things up that it shouldn't. When it comes to computer code, even an LLM that's 99% reliable and correct will still create significant problems when you have hundreds or thousands of lines of code. Even worse, if you ask an LLM to evaluate that code, some of the time it will do it incorrectly for the same reasons. This is just a symptom of a problem with LLMs on the whole. If you are a subject expert, then an LLM can be a powerful, profound productivity booster. So an ace coder can now simply spend their time debugging that 1% of the code that's wrong, instead of writing the 99% that's mostly boilerplate busy work. To someone like this, an LLM coding assistant is the best thing that's ever happened to them. For someone that has no idea how to debug code at all, or to someone trying to use an LLM in a subject area they know nothing about, it's a deadly trap where you don't know what you don't know. There should always be a human coder in the loop. I think this is generally true for any work done by an LLM, but you always need a human expert in the loop to check on the work done by an LLM. Whether that's coding, or writing a research paper. LLMs will never be 100% trustworthy or reliable, and any number below 100% means you need a human checking on that output. This doesn't mean LLMs are useless or that they won't revolutionize what we can do or how fast we can do it, it just means that we will always have to supervise it competently. So unfortunately, you'll still have to learn to code. There's no way around it.